G'day everybody, welcome to our May month of amazing bourbons. This month we're featuring the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and our first bottle we're going to look at, the amazing Buffalo Trace. So before we get into the actual bourbon, let's learn a little bit about that terrific distillery, Buffalo Trace. So it's in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's owned by the Sazerac Company. It's historically been known by a number of different names, including the George T. Stagg Distillery and the Old Fashioned Copper or OFC Distillery. The company says the name Buffalo Trace refers to an ancient buffalo crossing on the banks of the Kentucky River in Franklin County in Kentucky. The Sazerac Company purchased the distillery in 1992. Under its old name, George T. Stagg Distillery, the property was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2001 and designated as a National Historic Landmark in 2013. The company claims the distillery to be the oldest continuously operating distillery in the United States. However, another distillery with a similar historical extent is Burke's Distillery. That's where they actually now make Maker's Mark. According to its citation in the Registry of National Historic Landmarks, Burke's Distillery origins extend to 1805, and it's Burke's Distillery that is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest operating bourbon distillery. Bit of controversy. Records indicate that distilling started on that site that is now the Buffalo Trace Distillery in 1775 by Hancock Lee and his brother Willis Lee, who died in 1776. The first distillery on the site, though, was constructed in 1812 by Harrison Blanton. In 1870, the distillery was purchased by Edmund H. Taylor, or E.H. Taylor, and given its name, the OFC Distillery. Taylor sold the distillery 8 years later to George T. Stagg. So you might be noticing a number of names here that are going to be mentioned throughout some of the bourbons we try today, and hopefully in the future months. Production capacity at the Buffalo Trace Distillery is estimated at about 2.65 million US gallons of whiskey per year. While Buffalo Trace is mainly known for its bourbon, it also produces other spirits such as rye whiskies and vodka. Now here is a list of the following spirits that are produced by the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Hold on to your hats. So here are the brands that they actually produce themselves, right? So Buffalo Trace, which we're looking at today, and there's a few items under that Buffalo Trace label, such as the Single Oak Project, a White Dog, so that's an unaged spirit, a Bourbon Cream, and a couple of others. You've got Colonel E.H. Taylor, which we're including in this month's box. Eagle Rare, which we're including in this month's box. George T. Stagg. Stagg Jr. Had one of those a bit earlier today. McCaffrey's Benchmark, OFC, Old Charter Oak, Old Taylor. You've got some bitters in there. You've got Platinum 7X and Platinum 10X vodkas. Sazerac Rye, Sazerac Antique Collection. Thomas H. Andy Barrel Proof. You've got W.L. Weller, the Special Reserve Antique 102nd, and the William LaRue Weller Collection. You've got Wheatley Vodka. You've also then got brands that are produced in partnership with Age International. So that's part of the Japanese company Takara Holdings. So you've got Ancient Age, you've got Blanton Single Barrel, which we're looking at today, Hancock's President's Reserve, Elmer T. Lee, Rock Hill Farms, brands produced with a partnership with the Van Winkle family that's been under an agreement since 2002. You've got Old Rip Van Winkle, Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve, Van Winkle Special Reserve, Van Winkle Family Reserve, and Buffalo Trace also produces spirits for private bottlers and store brands. So they are a massive organisation, but holy cow do they produce some good bourbon. So, on to our first bottle today, the Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Buffalo Trace Bourbon came about when visitors to the newly named and renovated Buffalo Trace Distillery in 1999 asked, why isn't there a bourbon called Buffalo Trace? So Buffalo Trace in the past have stated that ultimately after discussions with Elmer T. Lee, it was decided that he would go to the best floors in the best warehouses and find some of the finest barrels they had of an older whiskey that really matched up with his views on what a full-bodied, robust character Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey should taste like. The result was what consumers enjoy today, the Buffalo Trace. The brand was released to the market in 1999 and is made from their #1 mash bill, which is thought to be made of less than 10% rye. According to the Buffalo Trace website, The bourbon is batched from no more than 40 barrels at a time and is aged on the middle floors of various warehouses where it experiences the most temperature changes. So the Buffalo Trace Bourbon. It's a straight bourbon from the Sazerac Company, Buffalo Trace Distillery, comes in at 40% alcohol by volume. Doesn't have an age statement, but Buffalo Trace says it's aged at least 8 years. The rumour is between 8 and 10 years, usually around 9.5. All right, let's have a taste. Nice medium legs, nice copper colour. So the nose, it's just instantly likeable, and it's pleasant notes of caramel and honey, orange and vanilla. The nose balances those flavours well while also providing an underlying layer of oak and mint. So on the palate, it's sweet and mellow with notes of brown sugar, vanilla and toffee. The palate might be a little too sweet for some, but it's probably very enjoyable for most. Has light amounts of oak and rye spice, and that sort of just rounds out the palate in the end. The finish, moderate length finish with oak right up the front there. That really opens up and develops and ultimately ends sort of filling your nostrils. It's a very interesting and full flavoured finish for an 80 proof bourbon. So that's a Buffalo Trace Bourbon. I hope you've enjoyed our video today, you're enjoying your boxes, and enjoy your journey. Cheers. So you've noticed a few names that are going... Production capacity at the Buffalo Trace Distillery is estimated at about 2.65 million US gallons of whiskey per year. And my Buffalo... Come on, man. I'm working here.